Morning, everybody. So what am I doing here to talk to you this morning? Are we in the forefront of innovation, reward and benefits? I think the honest answer to that is no, we're not. For those of you who have not heard of Network Homes, we are a medium-sized London-based housing association, but I'm very proud to say that this year we won 5 HR Excellence Awards, we won 2 Personnel Today Awards last year, and we were finalists in 5 for the FCIPD Awards as well. So I think we have a story to tell, and the story is really based around culture and the journey that I think we've been on, however much of a cliche that is, I don't really apologise for it, the journey we've been on over the last 4.5 years. So I do have some slides, if I can get the clicker to work. Okay, so when I joined Network Homes 4.5 years ago, the organisation was just emerging from a failed merger, and it was a very battering and bruising experience for the executive and particularly for the employees of the organisation. We are an organisation of 550, so we're not an enormous organisation. I think that's big enough that you can kind of get your arms around it and get to know people, and small and intimate enough to have that kind of close connection with people as well. So it was very deeply felt when the organisation failed in its merger. And that coincided with a staff survey. I mean, why you would do a staff survey when you're going through merger discussions, don't ask me, but the decision had been made that we would. And in the words of my chief executive, the results of the staff survey were a wake-up call. What that showed was that leadership was seen as incredibly disconnected from the rest of the organisation, not providing a sense of direction or purpose or engagement or buy-in, that our people felt very disengaged, disenfranchised, not clear the part they were intending to play with the organisation. HR, when I arrived, was described to me as a necessary evil. So I thought, okay, well, I've got a challenge then, haven't I? But the board had said we've got 2 very clear strategic objectives. We want to build a great organisation, that's for the people who work with us, and we want to develop a reputation for really first-class customer service as a housing association, which is quite difficult when your customers living in your homes are actually a captive audience, so that can be quite a challenge too. So that was really, I thought, right, we need to kind of get ourselves a flight plan and decide how we're going to tackle this as an objective for the organisation. So I came in initially as a consultant, and in my first few weeks I just did the usual, read all the staff survey results, speak to as many people as possible. I then went back and met with Helen, my chief executive, after about a month, and I said to her, okay, my assessment is, the good news is Network is good. The bad news is Network is good. That is not good enough anymore. If you want to be a truly great organisation, then being good is a long way from the destination that we've set ourselves. And starting to think about some of the things people were telling me, I have had a long-held belief that leadership creates culture. I've seen that in many different organisations I've worked in. I've worked in a city investment bank, not institutional, but investment bank. I've worked in a large police force, always in HR and organisational development, and I've seen so many examples of leadership really creating the cultural norms of the organisation, that became really important to me. And I genuinely believe that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Now, what do I mean by that? I think you can have all the best strategies in the world. They can be written on beautiful documents and stored on your intranet or wherever else. If your people don't believe in them, if they don't come to life through the culture you've got, then they remain words on a document and they never live and breathe in the organisation. So for me, the engagement of your people in your organisation's strategy, through your culture, through your engagement, through your connection and your buy-in, is what will make your organisation succeed or fail, and that depends to me on leadership. So I wanted to set a people and culture agenda that was about unlocking discretionary effort. As I said right at the start, we're not city slickers. We're never going to compete with the big boys down in London in terms of pay and benefits. What do I think we can do? We can say to our people, we want you to love working for Network Homes. We want you to enjoy coming to work. We want you to feel proud to work for our organisation. And if we can unlock that discretionary effort, then that feeds into the performance of our organisation. Because cliche it may be, but I also passionately believe that happy staff equals happy customers, because if you've got discretionary effort, people put the extra effort in because they want to, not because they feel they have to, and that ultimately affects the bottom line of your business and your overall success as an organisation. So I came in to deliver something called the People and Culture Agenda. No surprise that it had 3 key themes, all of which emerged from that first staff survey that I analysed. So starting with leadership, being really clear what we expected of our leaders from the exec right through to first line supervisors. So articulating the network homes leadership and management style, and then really connecting people to it through lots of leadership development. Thinking about what we call our cultural engagement. This is employee engagement by another name, because when I got our groups of people together, I said, okay, what do we want you to buy into? Yes, it's about being engaged in the organisation, but engaged in what? And that's about developing the culture of our organisation, wanting to be a great organisation. I said to people, wouldn't it be great if you worked for one of the best housing associations in the sector, knowing you helped create it and had the pride in that journey? And so getting people to buy into building this strong culture was something I think we set out on right from the start. And then having a very clear employer brand, which is probably your HR strategy by another name, is, how are we going to attract people, recruit people, reward people, give them some benefits that are, important to them, give them some flexibility, think about succession planning, think about talent management. All of those things sit in the employer brand category of the People and Culture Agenda. So how did we launch into some of this? We started, as I said, with our leadership. We developed our own leadership development program. We call it our Rockstar program. And that's something we've designed ourselves. So myself and my director of organisational development got lots of our managers in rooms, in groups of about 15 at a time. We got the chief executive come along and talk about the importance of leadership as well. So it was seen to be very much led from the top. And we just asked a very simple question that those of you who are HR professionals, I'm sure, will have asked a million times. What does a great leader or manager look like? What's the best one you've ever reported to? Describe them. And what we did was we got about 8 characteristics on lots of flip charts, and then myself and Tracy, my director, went away with those flip charts into our office, spread them all around and said, where are the common themes? And we came up with 8 common themes. The R was about being a role model, being really clear how you're modelling the values and the beliefs of your organisation. The O is being open and honest. So all of the communication stuff, giving communication, listening to communication, all of that about transparency we thought was in the open and honest piece. The C is about being a coach, so bringing out the best in people and really pushing them to be the best they can be. The K is about being knowledgeable, so that you have the technical expertise in whatever your field is, that people can come to you as their manager and feel you're able to guide, direct and support them. The S is about being staff focused. So that's the individual side of being a good line manager, that you know your people as individuals, that you know what makes them tick, how you can support them, who needs a bit of extra guidance and direction and who perhaps can just fly on their own. The T is about being a team builder, so that's within your own team and then across teams as well. The A is about being achievement focused, so that's the real clarity on what the objectives are, how you're going to monitor the success of delivery of those objectives, and how you know what great looks like. The final R is about giving recognition. So for a job well done, that you say a genuine thank you and people know the difference they've made. So that became our Rockstar framework, and we use that to deliver leadership and management development at every level of the organisation. So we have a ROC programme, which is our foundation for kind of first line managers. We have a STAR programme, which is for middle and senior managers, and we have what we call our Rockstar Royalty programme, which is for our exec. And we've had fun with Rockstar. We've had jamming parties, we've had an after party, lots of things that just engage people in what it means to be a leader in our organisation and to enjoy it and to see it as important and kind of funky and part of the culture we're looking to develop for network homes. These are photographs that we had of all of our chief executive is here, isn't in the bottom right hand corner, wearing silly wigs and funky glasses and just having some fun with being a Rockstar leader. I think the other thing that was really clear in our journey was how do you drive real clarity through your values and your behaviours. In common with lots of other organisations, we have what we call our heart values. The H is hungry, the A is accountable, we don't have an E, the R is being respectful, and the T is being together. I think if we did have an E, it would be engaged, but we haven't. We've got the HART. And again, we link everything we do to our values, so they are absolutely driven through everything, our recruitment, our onboarding, all of our training and development, all of our reviews, our one-to-ones, our evaluation, our appraisal system, everything is connected to our heart values and behaviours. And we have a Heart Awards every year so people can celebrate their success as part of that. Engaging in cultural excellence. Many of you may have heard of Mary Gober. It's a customer service training program. I've used that in 3 different organisations brilliantly for customer service. I think what I also identified in my last organisation was how well you could use this training for cultural development. One of the sayings that Mary Gober, who designed this model, came up with is that everything you think, feel, say or do is a service to yourself and everybody else around you. And again, we really embedded that into the cultural norms of our organisation. That brings heart to life. I see it as a toolkit by which people know what is expected of them, what language they use, what actions, what behaviour, and ultimately how that feeds into peak performance. So it's very much a model for a shared mindset and the language and actions that go with it and bring it to life. And learning and development. So how do we really invest in our people so that those cultural connections are made through our leaders and through all of the expectations we're looking to develop? So we put together our heart passports. So that, as we'd said, this was a flight plan that we were looking for. So we've tried to kind of use quite fun, engaging language for everything we've done. And as people came on some of our core corporate training programs, we gave them a stamp in the passport, and then they had to write what they'd found particularly engaging or developmental about that particular program and how they were going to embed that and apply it when they got back to the workplace, and that was something they could review with their managers. Health and wellbeing is something we've taken incredibly seriously and continue to do so. We've done lots in the mental health space as well. We developed something we called our sizzle sessions. These are very short, half-hour, bite-sized learning and development activities that take place in team meetings, and we trained our managers to deliver them, usually around a little video vignette that gets played in the session on somebody's laptop, and then with an activity that all of the managers in all of the teams do, so that you get the sense that the entire organisation is moving through a programme together. And we did a whole health and wellbeing series of those. So it really got the message across that health and wellbeing was something we took incredibly seriously in the organisation. And we came up with our pathway. When I joined the organisation, I think I said the board had said, we want to build a great organisation. I said, well, how will we know? What are you looking for? And what the board said is we would like to have a place in the Sunday Times Top 100 as a great place to work. Not as an end in itself, because I think, your staff can think, well, that's just a gong, that's a badge for the organisation, but because of what it means in terms of the external recognition and the fact that you only get a place in the Sunday Times Top 100 if your employees are effectively, through staff survey, saying, yes, you deserve it. So that became the outcome, the last staging post we were looking for, and we were entering in October last year. So this journey started back in the back end of 2015, just after I joined the organisation, and all of the different interventions that we came up with as we went through this cultural journey became staging posts on this route map. And then we produced this big poster size. We had it up all over the offices so people could see, where are we on the journey, what's planned for the future, and people got that sense of direction and that there was somewhere we were really heading for the organisation. So where are we now? I wrote this a couple of weeks ago, knowing I was coming, but not knowing some of the most recent level of things. So we applied for the Sunday Times last November. We got the results in February at the awards ceremony. We came out number 39 at our first attempt. We were pretty proud of that. And we came out as a 2-star organisation, which means you have outstanding levels of employee engagement. Now, 3-star is the best you can go for. We're still a long way from there. That means you've got extraordinary levels of employee engagement. So that's the aim that we're still going for. We're hoping to go in again next year, and we will see how we go. The truth is, I think we have still got some way to travel to really achieve that, but we're immensely proud to have got into the Sunday Times our first attempt this year. So sickness absence. When I joined the organisation in the summer of 2015 and asked to see our sickness stats, I nearly fell off my chair. The average was 11 days per employee. I just thought that was horrific. So again, that became one of the real targets to say, this is an indicator of the health and well-being of this organisation. And through the course of this journey that we've travelled, I'm delighted to say that we have brought it down. 2.9 days is where we've been at pretty consistently, or every month as we've gone through this year. And of course, it has an associated productivity saving associated with it. Staff turnover when I joined the organisation was nearly 1 in 4, and now we're down to nearly half of that, so we're quite proud to have turned that around as well. And of course that comes with an efficiency saving as well. As I mentioned, 5 HR Excellence Awards back in the summer of this year. I'm very proud to say I got HR Director of the Year, so I'm pretty personally proud of that. And a number of others. We've got Best HR Team, Best Employee Engagement, Best Learning and Development, and one other. And as I said, last week we were at the Personnel Today Awards and we got 2 Personnel Today Awards there as well, and I was also HR Director of the Year, which again was astonishing, but absolutely delighted with that. So the good news is I think we're able to say that going from a good organisation, I think we have really consolidated that position, and I can now look at colleagues in the eye and think, you know what, I think we can genuinely say we have transformed Network to what I believe to be a great organisation. Still not brilliant, but definitely on that trajectory, and I think that's what we're aiming for now. How do we really have that pinnacle of success? And then it's using the culture journey as our foundation for our digital transformation program, which I am now responsible for. So I don't have an IT background, but I think because I demonstrated that I could deliver leadership and culture change, the organisation thought, well, let's use that as our foundation for delivering our transformational digital program. So I now have that program. We've put the tagline on it. It's about being smarter, better, faster and stronger. We've had some fun with that. Some of you may know the Daft Punk song. So we got our staff together kind of dressing up and dancing to that as really setting the bar for how we're going to move forward into digital transformation. So this is the network journey from now. So we're clarifying what we mean by that strapline in terms of how we get smarter, how we get better, how we get faster, what we want to be stronger in, so that we can communicate that really clearly to all of our people. And that links through to our IT strategy, making sure, again, we've got clarity in what the absolute deliverables are in connecting our people to a digital journey that means they get digitally literate. We're quite a traditional organisation. You know, we're not Cisco. We're a medium-sized housing association. We probably feel light years behind where you are. But for us, this is about saying, how can we really start using laptops and, you know, everyone on video with each other? We're doing that too. We're in the early stages of that. But really making it a more flexible workplace that builds on high trust and high accountability for business outcomes. And lots of linking to the digital customer. I talked right at the beginning about first-class customer service. It's making sure the people who live in our homes feel that they are getting 21st century services, which again has been quite a big leap for us. So at the moment, our customers come through different parts into our business, a contact centre into the office, or they can pick up the phone. It's about saying, how do we consolidate that for the 21st century? So we have one version of the truth, one version of our customer, and people really genuinely feel that our people inside the organisation can connect with the people who live in our homes to provide them with a really excellent service. So thank you. That's a bit of a canter through what we've been doing in the people and technology space.